Contact visits? Well, sounds like she's in jail. Why can't I have her back proper?
Now, just a minute. As I said, you'll be allowed contact visits and you'll be able to take her out 1 full day a week. That's until you can prove that you can look after her properly. And when you can prove that, you'll be able to have her full-time with no interference. Look, it would be a lot easier if you had a home and a job to go to, but at the moment you've got neither. Now, Mick told me he proposed to you. I suggest you think about it very carefully. He seems to really care for you. And it could be the answer to all your problems.
You helped me once before, Bea. You made me realise what an idiot I was being. And then you talked about the importance of family love. Well, that's why I thought perhaps you might help me now.
Help you? Help you how?
Dad really respects you. He might listen to you, Bea. Will you talk to him? Try and persuade him to go back to Mum?
Seems to me you've got things screwed up. If your mother cared about him as much as you say she does, she wouldn't expect him to give up something that means one hell of a lot to him.
Yeah, but you can still love someone and hate what they do.
Not if it's part of them.
Then you won't talk to him.
No way.
You don't know what my mother's been through because of his stupid job.
His stupid job is what straightened you out. And if your mother can't handle it, then he is better off without her. And he'd be mighty proud of you knowing you were here broadcasting his private life behind his back.
You're going to tell him?
No, because I've got more respect for his feelings than you have. And I wouldn't want him knowing his daughter is no better than her mother.
You're just saying that because you're sweet on him yourself. And if he gave up his job, you'd never see him again. I'm not going to let you keep them apart, Bea.
I had no idea I had so much influence over him.
Wait by the gates for an Officer Smith.
A woman would be a fool if she thinks a man would be happy just to grab a few minutes with her, without a second to themselves.
Depends how much he cares. And he could care about her one hell of a lot. Do you know what I feel about you, B. Smith? You're a mixture of anger and fury and a lot of strength. You're a survivor. But you've still got a lot of softness and honesty and warmth. A woman like you is never going to know what it's like not to feel. I reckon I'm a very lucky man even to have met you.
Hey. Hey, you okay? What's wrong, Bea? We all used to be mates. Now Dawn's gone off, keeping to herself, and you're not speaking to any of us?
Do you think Ken Pierce is the sort of man who'd say things he didn't mean?
I reckon he'd play straight with anyone.
That's how I figured it.
What's he been saying to you, Bea?
You know, Lizzie, after you've been in here for a while, and there's something you can't have, you start telling yourself you don't want it anymore anyway, right?
Yeah. That's like me with the booze. Only it doesn't work.
Well, no more. I'm going to grab what I can. I found something special and I'm not going to let it go.
What are you doing here, Smith?
Well, as a matter of fact, I was waiting for an officer, but don't let me keep you, Vera. I think I'll wait for one who's almost human.
You like the corridors so much, I could quite easily have you scrub them.
I want to see the governor, and it's private.
You have your privacy 1 day a month, Smith, and I'll decide if you can see the governor or not.
I really must get your goat, Vera, knowing we're allowed to see our friends and families for a couple of hours in privacy without you perving on us, and not even be able to read our mail anymore.
I have my ways of knowing what's going on, Smith. For instance, I had a very interesting chat with Debbie Pierce this afternoon. I was under the impression she looked up to you. Strange how attitudes change, wouldn't you say? But there again, it's one thing to admire toughness in here, but another to think that her father might be getting involved. You're not even good enough for an ex-crim in her eyes.
I think I'll wait in the laundry with her some fresh air.
She's going to make sure he doesn't visit you again. And she's got a week to do it.
Was that necessary, Vera?
I beg your pardon?
You know what I'm talking about. Now, no matter what you think of Bea, how dare you be so callous?
She wouldn't tell me why she wanted to see the governor.
And you say malicious things like that to her? Who do you think you are?
Since when has a parole officer been allowed to wander around the prison on her own?
You can check that with Mrs. Davidson.
It still doesn't give you the right to tell an officer how to do her job.
All right, Vera. But if you don't take Smith to see the governor, I intend to tell her that you've been deliberately baiting a prisoner.
Come on, Dad. Look, I'm sure Mum had come. Why didn't you ask her?
I don't think I'd be any help, love.
Well, try. It'd sound much better if you said you wanted her here.
Look, if she comes, it's because you need her to help with the shopping. It's got nothing to do with me, and I mean it.
I told her that newspaper article was a whole lot of lies and that you're suing them.
And I suppose she said, that's what you get for working in prisons, eh?
No, but she was still upset. Well, how do you think she'd feel, reading you and Bea are having an affair? Anyhow, I said you were just visiting her because you felt sorry for her. Well, I had to say something.
Hey, back up a bit. What's this feel sorry for her business?
Well, aren't you?
She's a friend, Debbie.
Then you can write to her.
I never expected to hear that coming from you.
And what about Mum? Don't you care about her feelings?
She's only worried about what her friends think.
Well, what am I going to do? I'll be the first bride in history without a thing to wear.
Look, if you want to ring your mother, fine. Maybe she can get the day off work.
One day's not enough.
Okay, she's welcome to stay for a couple of days, but on the condition she mentions nothing about my job, okay? But I doubt if she'll come.
I've been thinking about what Debbie said, Mrs. Davidson, and I think I should straighten her father out in a few things.
Such as?
Well, I'm going to be in here a lot longer, and I don't want any man hanging out waiting for me, especially one with a family.
I'm not sure I follow you.
I'll lay my cards out, Mrs. Davidson. There was a time when I did feel something for Ken Pierce. And I may be wrong, but I think if he keeps coming in here and seeing me, he might start reading things that aren't there. And you know how I feel about women who muck around with married men. Hell, I wouldn't even be in here if it wasn't for some bitch trying to split up me and my old man.
I was under the impression the Pierces had been separated.
Yeah, but I don't want Debbie thinking that I'm making things worse. I need to see him, Mrs. Davidson, for Debbie's sake. Oh, the kid's getting married in a week or two and she'll be stewing about it otherwise.
You can always write to him, Smith. Tell him you don't want to see him anymore.
I really need to see him face to face, Mrs. Davidson. I know I'm not entitled to it, but if I could have an unsupervised visit... Well, there are some things you just can't say in front of an officer. Not to a man like Ken Pierce. And it's the least I can do for Debbie.
I don't know how it'll turn out. I'm just going on how Mum cooked it. She said it was your favourite.
I'm sorry she's not coming, love. But I did try to warn you.
Well, she might have if you'd spoken to her. Well, I think the whole thing stinks. Two grown-up people who keep hurting each other because of a stupid job. If you really loved each other, one of you ought to give in.
That's probably what's wrong. Hello? Bea?
I can't talk long. I need to see you. Do you think you could drop by tomorrow? Mrs. Davidson's okayed it. It's important. Thanks.
You might have fooled Mrs. Davidson, Smith, but I've known you for too long. Whatever you're planning, I intend catching you out.
Why, Vera, I don't know what you're talking about.
You said you were going to come shopping with me and that we'd have lunch together.
Yeah, but Bea wouldn't have called unless it was important, love. But don't worry, we can still fit everything in.
Don't bother. I'm not part of your job. Look, she's just trying to...
Trying to what? Debbie?
Nothing. Did she mention me?
No. Should she? Look, you can come too if you like.
No, thanks.
Debbie's kidding herself if she thinks they're going to get back together again. So I can't ruin something that isn't there, can I?
It's not going to be easy for you, Bea. For you or